All right, so welcome back. I'm Israel Solomon. I'm a visual artist located in Indianapolis, Indiana. And today I am getting some prep work done for several paintings that I am completing for a solo show that I have coming up in just a few weeks titled Oasis. So, what I'm doing here is I've gotten some canvases that are pre stretched and are pre gessoed, but whenever I purchase a canvas that is pre-stretched and pre-gessoed, I like to add another layer of gesso on top because I feel like it's very thin. And I also like to have just a little bit of more of a textured surface to work on. So I do that, and typically I'll mix in a little bit of acrylic paint with the gesso. Um, so I'll have like a base tone to work underneath, which is often an opposite color to the color of the painting. So if the majority of the painting is going to be blue, which a lot of this painting that I'm working on right here is going to be blue, you see I have like an orangish tone that's going to be laying underneath that blue to help that blue vibrate and pop off the canvas a little bit more. I think that it really helps to have an underpainting and to, you know, create a layer underneath the work. Um, it's really been beneficial for me as I've been creating pieces over the years. So that particular canvas right there is 4 foot by 4 foot, so it's pretty large size canvas that I'm working on. I do like to work big, but being an artist, a professional artist, someone who gets compensated and paid for their work, um, working big is great, but I also have to put into account that everyone who's looking to purchase work, maybe their budget won't allow for a larger piece, or maybe they don't have the space in their home for a larger piece. So sometimes I create larger pieces to sort of showcase what it is that I'm doing, to pull people into what I'm doing. Um, but I have found that the majority of individuals, or the majority of sales that I make off of larger pieces, typically come from corporations or groups and things of that nature. You know, I've sold work to hospitals, Eli Lilly, universities, Indiana University, things of that nature. I've got work with Marion University, and a lot of times, you know, places like that can have and hold larger pieces, but a typical homeowner um, may not have the space, or sometimes maybe not the pockets for, you know, how much my pieces go for, those larger scale pieces. So now I've got a 30 by 40 canvas that I'm doing the same prep work with, and getting that ready so I can get that painting going. I like to work on several paintings at a time, especially when I'm preparing for a show. And I believe that, you know, it allows me to work and get things done quicker than working on one at a time. So if I have 5, 6 things going at once and I bounce around, I can get done quicker than just focusing on one, and doing it that way. Especially when working with oils. Oils are, you know, pretty tricky to work with. They don't dry quickly like acrylics. Even with the mediums that you mix into oils, the dry time is still a lot slower. So with the layering that I do, it requires, excuse me, to create a layer, allow it to dry, come back to it the next day or maybe 2 days later, and go back into it. So now I've got some smaller canvases. As I was saying, I like to create the larger pieces. I like to work larger, but I also think about, you know, everybody who is interested in my work. So I'm working on preparing some smaller pieces as well right here. Those are, I believe, like 8 by 10s and 4 by 6s, so real small stuff. So now I have some time passed between just on that canvas and getting it prepared, probably an hour or two. And now I'm ready to lay out the sketch or the outline for this particular painting. So I designed this painting on my iPad. I drew it out, but I was recording this on my on my iPad, this video. So I just took a picture of my design, and I'm looking at the design on my phone and just sketching it out, trying to get the proportions correct as possible. So this piece is somewhat a surreal piece. A lot of the pieces that I'm working on right now are surreal. Um, I would say the surreal nature of these new pieces I'm working on is subtle, and it may take a while for the viewer to even realize that there's some surreal things going on. So I've got this pyramid that I created in the, not in the center, but a little bit off to the right of the canvas. And the pyramid is going to be sitting in sand, and that little circle that I drew inside of the pyramid is coming from the sun that's going to be above the pyramid, or the moon, the star. It's more so a star. I wouldn't say it's a sun or a moon. It's the sun or a moon. It's a star in the sky. And it's going to be sort of a desert scene. The sky is going to be blue, and the pyramid is actually going to be see-through, so you're going to be able to see through it. And you can see that the plane is broken. The horizon line on the left is higher than the horizon line on the right, and that's intentional. And then what I'm doing right there is I'm actually drawing a window in the sky, and the window is going to sort of give an illusion of, okay, we're out in the desert. There's a pyramid in the desert, but there's a window. So this desert scene is inside of something, and you can peer out of that into a window. So these are some of the surreal things that I'm implementing into my work, just letting my imagination free and letting it go and seeing where it takes me. And I'm really enjoying the process of doing this. So I've finished that up, and now I'm going to those smaller canvases, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to draw out some compositions that are thematic with the work that I've been creating over the past few months for this show. So because, I've done this so much, I can just sort of freestyle these things out and let them come to me, and just whatever flows comes out onto the canvas. So you'll see me doing that in these smaller pieces, kind of showing you what they are. And all of the colors will be sort of similar in all of my work, which they are typically. And that gives some continuity in the work. So people always ask about styles, like, how do you create a style? Well, color continuity helps with creating a style. That's a simple way to, make your work sort of your own, because when you create that color continuity, then comes familiarity. And a lot of times with that color continuity, even when the subject matter is different, someone can look at your work and they can say, oh, that's your work, right? Oh, I saw a piece from you. And sometimes they're familiar with it because of the color. So, it's very important to develop a color palette and use color continuity when you're developing a series or a theme of work. Sort of like an album, listening to an album from beginning to an end. There's some continuity and some themes through those albums. And I like to do the same thing when I'm creating a body of work. So there's another. And then I've got the last one that I'm working on. And those are, I believe, 12 by 12 inches. So a foot by 1 foot. So a variety of sizes that I'm going to have in the show. The front portion of the show is going to be for my larger pieces, and then in the rear, I'm going to put the smaller pieces and the pieces that contain more figurative artworks. So you got to plan things out and, you know, think about what it is that you're doing, because it is important to, you know, have an aesthetic, be able to tell stories, be able to have rhythm, and again, continuity in your work. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great one.